Afternoon, everyone. How you doing? It's Tom Numbers here. So today is September 22nd. 22 is MAGA in numbers. Deal is 22. Interesting enough, the supposed shooter of Charlie Kirk was age 22, or is age 22. Not 23, but 22. Hence, that's pointing towards something, in my opinion, a White House in control operation. So I've been pointing this out on and off over the last few months, but recently again in the last few days. So I've noticed that there are 3 number plates that appear in 3 different films. They may appear in more, but I've visually seen 3 of them. And that number plate number is RFK 575. Now, what does that mean? Obviously, RFK is RFK, Robert Francis Kennedy. And in this case, RFK Jr. And I would point that it means RFK Jr. Maybe it means his dad as well. Future proofs past, but definitely RFK right now. And then 575. What's 575? One of the films that this appears in is The Wolf of Wall Street. I did a video on this the other day. The Wolf of Wall Street comes to 245 in numbers, which also comes to currency revaluation, 245 in numbers. It stood out to me because that comes out to my name, Thomas Sidney Bushnell, 245. It also comes to the Pure Love of Christ, 245. But today, of all days, we are 245 days in to President Trump's presidency, the 2nd term in office. And who's part of his MAGA Maha team? RFK. And President Trump announced last night at the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service in Arizona at the Cardinal Stadium that they're going to be announcing something today from the Oval Office in regards to autism. Now, connect the dots on this, folks, people. Connect the dots. I was thinking it might be earlier because there were some personal numbers that came up around the 3rd of September. And I thought it might have been then or the 2nd, that sort of time period, because they announced it, that they were going to announce that they were going to do it in September. But anyway, they've chosen today. So I'm going to be super curious, along with the rest of you, to see what is announced. But let's drill into the numbers further on this code. So, if you do Robert Francis Kennedy Jr., it comes to 313. 313 is a palindrome number, 313. His uncle, the kill shot that took place on the Zapruder film with JFK was at 313. It was the frame 313. That took place on the Kruger Road. X marks the spot. X in so many ways. Lift the veil from your eyes comes to 313. Donald J. Trump, the visionary, comes to 313. He has a painting in Mar-a-Lago in the library room. Library being 85. Storm 85. Also Kruger 85, as in Nightmare on Elm Street. For did I say Kruger? Is it? Yeah, Elm Street. That's the road that the events of JFK took place in '63. Interesting enough, if you do John Fitzgerald Kennedy Sr., that also comes to 313. But also, if you do autism is 83, which is negative. Election, it's also some other things. But autism 83 plus vaccination, which is 111, illusion, comes to 194, which is September 11th. There's also some other personal numbers, but But if you do autism and vaccination reversal, that comes to 313, which comes to Robert Francis Kennedy Jr. Some things may have been put in the vaccines over time. Think of things like McDonald's. Think of the, well, I'll say it, the A word, A plus the Google Chrome browser, adrenochrome. Has that been put in the vaccines over time? I guess we'll find out in time. But if you do autism plus adrenochrome plus vaccination, that also comes to 313. If you do autism, vaccination redemption, that also comes to 313. So it depends on which side you're looking at. Nikola Tesla, 119, redemption, 119. Mary Magdalene, 119. And their side, 119, is adrenochrome. Their version of Tesla physics. So what are we going to see today, folks? I wonder. That video, that number plate in the Wolf of Wall Street has been sitting on my desk effectively for a while, and I've been waiting for it to pop up. And the first time I saw it was a few months ago with Final Destination, which is 172, which is hyperinflation. And Final Destination Bloodlines, which is maybe the 5th or 6th or 7th film in that series. So I've only seen the first one and the one that's come out recently. But they both have RFK 575 in the number plate. Now, why is it 575? So here we go. If you do Monday, which is today, which is 72, which is money, which is first, which is Bitcoin. If you do Monday, the 22nd of September, 2025, the year we're in, it comes to 549. If you add the word data, 26, game 26, card 26, that takes you to 575. President Trump has been talking about how the things they found, the data that they're going to share with the world today from the Oval Office about autism, their findings, that's data. And where's that data going to come from? It's going to come from RFK in particular. So data 26 plus RFK 35. And this will set a chain reaction, because chain is also 35, a chain reaction of events. So data 26 plus RFK 35 comes to 61, which is miracle. We're looking for a miracle. There's going to be many miracles. There's going to be preparatory miracles that will lead to bigger miracles, but this is one of them. So if you do 575, all of those things plus RFK 35, that takes you to 610. $610 plus 245, the Wolf of Wall Street. So if you look at the Wolf of Wall Street is 245, RFK 35 plus 575. 575 again, I'll say it, is Monday, the 22nd of September, 2025, which is today, which is this announcement from the Oval Office about autism. So if you do RFK plus Monday, the 22nd of September 2025, and then you add the word data 26 or card in reference to RFK, that takes you to 575. So you could do RFK and then 575 equals Monday, the 22nd of September, 2025, plus, that takes you to 549. How do you get to 575? You get to 575 with data, 26, God, 26, card, 26, game, 26. That takes you to 575. So if you do RFK plus 575, which is in the number plate, takes you to 610. Then if you add Wolf of Wall Street, or the Wolf of Wall Street, that's 245. 245 is the pure love of Christ. 245 is currency revaluation. 245 is Thomas Sidney Bushnell. That takes you to 5855, which is very close to the magic number of 888. There's a tweet that came out a week or two ago, and I saw it, and I knew the number for 855 and why that's significant. And there was Jesse Waters tweeted it, but it was in reference to RFK, and it was I think it was the amount of money that something about the Senate and Big Pharma had been getting in terms of funding because of the Big Pharma and Senate, and the Senate, I think it was the Senate. Anyway, that tweet's gone. I've got a screenshot of it on my WhatsApp, but so I know I can see the headline of it, but I probably got a picture of it somewhere. I have to dig it up. But that tweet's gone. You can't read it, or it says it's not ready yet. That's the other thing. It doesn't say it's been deleted. It says this is not viewable yet, which is super strange. That's super strange. But we live in a strange, beautiful world, folks, with the Great Awakening. So let's see what today comes with. What comes out with that? There's apparently one of the cures for autism is it Suramin? Am I saying this right? Suramin, I think it is. But that comes to 95 in numbers, which comes to emergency, which comes to the shot. Also comes to the Queen, which obviously there's been reference to that recently. But the shot. So when President Trump was saying about take the shot, maybe he was saying also take Suramin. And maybe that was in Operation Warp Speed. Maybe. Probably. If that's one of the good chemicals, like hydroxychloroquine. It's all going to come out in the wash, folks. It's all going to come out in the wash, like the Whirlpool. Remember President Trump spoke about Kodak and Whirlpool back in 2020. That's when he first started coding and talking to me directly, and I started to pick up on it. We're going to see what comes, folks. Bloodline, as in Final Destination Bloodlines. Bloodline is 88 Trump. Bloodlines is 107 or 107, which is currency, which is quantum, which is warp speed. There you go. There you go. And if you do Final Destination plus Bloodlines, that's 172. That would take you to what, 279, won't it? Yeah. But it's hyperinflation currency or hyperinflation warp speed. That's what it is. That's what the Final Destination Bloodlines is. And they have the number plate in there. And that was a film that came out this year. Amazing times, folks, we're in. Amazing times. Let's see what comes today. But that seems to be lining up in terms of the number of days in to Trump's presidency. There's a reason I've been doing this countdown. I've been told to keep doing the countdowns. Another important date that comes up with this is it's actually the 265th day of the year. 265 in numbers comes to October 26th. And October 26th is the first date of time travel in Back to the Future. And Back to the Future is level playing field 176, real-time numbers 176. And who owns the John DeLorean property in New Jersey? President Trump. And I got my picture taken with Eric Trump wearing my 88 miles per hour t-shirt. And if you do, I think it's Tom Numbers and Eric Trump. It's 282, 88 miles per hour. Or is it Tom Bushnell and Eric Trump? 282, 88 miles per hour. It's one of those. And then 283 is Bedminster, New Jersey. Just want to turn around, folks. That's why President Trump has had at least 7 holes in one on the golf course. I want to turn around. So we'll see what comes. Yeah. One of the good ones that I'm finding in all of these, with these new, things that are being revealed to us, I'm enjoying my knickknacks, and you can see links on my channel below. US and UK, you can get it in with a discount. Click the link below, you'll see it on my Twitter feeds. Anyway, we'll see what comes today, folks, but that seems to be lining up. President Trump announced it at that stadium, which is a big announcement. So we'll see what comes, and how this will ricochet into other areas. It's coming, folks, it's coming. Look at the timeline. President Trump does the announcement about vaccines. He has Bill Gates on, puts him on front and center. Jaws just came out, re-release, with Anthony Fauci in numbers. So if you do Fauci's actually RV US 40, but if you do Fauci's an Italian word, if you translate it into English, it comes to Jaws. Why did they re-release Jaws 50 years on, just this last couple of weeks? Why is there a Jaws 19 hologram in Back to the Future 2? If you do Back to the Future 2, just 2, not part 2, but 2, that's 178 emergency broadcast. There's been films about that this, the last few weeks, The Life of Chuck being one of them. But there's a hologram, like a 3D hologram of Jaws 19, which is a fictitious film because it never got to number 19. But Jaws, translate it, the Italian translation for Fauci is into English is Jaws. Italian is 67, which is Wuhan, which is satanic. I'm saying Italy, Italians aren't satanic, I'm not saying that. 67 is also water, reset exchange, so there's good versions of it. But and it was a hologram. Hologram is virus 89. So it was Jaws 19. Think Fauci 19. Think COVID 19. COVID's 53. Red flag. There's a red flag coming. Amazing times, folks. Amazing times. Anyway, Godspeed. Much love. And I'll see you very soon. Check out my channel on YouTube. Site Club, The Real Tom Numbers Show. They've been heavily suppressed, but they're beginning to kind of be let out of the blocks again. I'm always here on Twitter, on Locals, Substack, TikTok, a bit on Insta, Telegram. Yeah, so we're being let out of the box again. We've been suppressed for a long time, but we're growing again, so give us a follow. All right, folks, see what happens tonight. Very interesting. It's lining up. Bye.